Welcome to the Master Your Genius podcast with Keith Cornies. Listen in and learn as he coaches entrepreneurs to master their genius. Here's your host, Coach Keith.
Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Coach Keith. Welcome to Master Your Genius podcast. This is a great one, you guys. I am going to be talking to Tim Hill. Tim Hill in 7 years went from 8-9 ends to being the top 50 under 35 in real estate in Canada. He grew his business. He's got an excellent business that's stable. We're going to talk about what he learned, how he went through it. I was fortunate enough to coach Tim all the way up on this journey. You're going to love this. Any entrepreneur, anybody in business, anybody in sales is going to love to hear how he climbed the mountains. And of course, what you're going to hear, which is most important, the magic pill of real estate, which is Tim and how he stays focused and how he stays tenacious and resilient and focuses on what is important to him and his business and not just the end result, which is the sale. Make sure you guys give this a listen. It's a good one. Episode 12. Enjoy it.
Nope, you weren't.
I wasn't an owner. I was coaching though.
You were within your first year, I believe.
First year coaching,
yeah.
Right? So Tim joined our office back then in 2013. I became an owner in the office. We worked together one-on-one for probably a good 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
Today we're going to talk about how Tim went from zero to hero.
Love it.
He went from joining our office in 2013 where he said to me, I said, how are you doing? He goes, I'm doing good. I'm doing better than my friends is what he said. And I said, wow, that's an interesting statement. We'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. And now he was top 50 under 35 in Canada, realtors. That's got to be a pretty amazing feat, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
We're going to talk how you did that. We're going to talk about the journey there. We're going to talk about what you learned. We're going to talk about how you did it. So everyone out there, entrepreneurs can take that leap of faith, like hiring the first assistant, which you did. And we'll talk about what that looks like now. We'll get a little personal too. We'll talk to him about his wife, Danielle, some of the things he's done in real estate. And so in 2013 to 2020, in 7 years, you've climbed a lot of mountains.
Oh, yeah. It's tiring thinking about it.
All right, let's go to the very beginning. And as I like to say for my listeners, Master Your Genius is if you can just share, some blind spots you saw about yourself, how you changed them, what kind of discipline you put in place to correct them. Because when I met you, we sat down and I said, how are you doing? You said, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Matter of fact, actually, you and two other gentlemen came to the office and were negotiating hard to get over there.
Realtors.
And then when we sat down, I asked you how you're doing. You said, oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing better than my friends. And I said, really? Is that how you set the bar? And you kind of looked at me and I said, do you feel like you want more? And you said, yeah. And I said, do you feel like you have the potential for more? And you went, yeah. Basically, we unleashed the beast.
Yeah.
Do you remember that combo?
Absolutely.
So what was that conversation like for you when you sat down and realized that maybe you had more in your tank for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really just looking inside, right? And instead of comparing yourself to others all the time, seeing what you're capable.
Right, which is important, right? And then when you're comparing yourself to yourself, it's actually a easier game to play.
Yep.
Because all you need to do is be better. When you compare yourself to others, you need to be better than them, which can be so tiring.
It can be for sure. And I mean, you can look at the wrong things too and focus on things that aren't what you actually want just because you think it is.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? Limiting, right? So your thoughts limiting beliefs. And we have lots of those. We're going to talk about some blind spots and stuff like that today. So Tim, a little background. When did you get married?
That was September 1st, 2018. Two years ago.
Danielle's going to be happy.
I had to think about that. It's like asking when your wife's birthday is and you have to think twice.
Right? So you got newly married. In the last 7 years, you bought your first real estate. You bought a townhouse. Now you sold. You hang on to that, and now you're buying a house, which is awesome. So yeah, why don't you just tell me what that's like? Going from somebody who, might not have thought that was possible, especially in the Vancouver economy, to where you are now. How's that feel?
Just from the real estate specific side?
Yeah, just right that part.
I mean, it's something that you and I did talk about and kind of putting the plans in place and doing the right things. And it's one of the reasons we bought a brand new townhouse, so we would have the rental restrictions being unlimited, or at least for 99 years, which is plenty for us. And that was just really our goal. And we were able to still keep it and buy our next house and turn it into rental property. So it might not have been the perfect way to do it, but it certainly worked.
Worked for you guys.
Absolutely.
So you guys move into there. It's the dream home.
More or less. If I
Yeah.
could build it, it would have been perfect, but it's close.
And then, it's funny because as realtors, it's tough when you're selling real estate, but you don't own it, right? Because you were a young guy when you got started. How old were you when you started selling real estate?
Got my license at 20.
20 years old, man. How do you even know what to do, eh?
Well, I didn't. That's why I was crazy enough to enter the business.
Well, there's some people that are meant to be entrepreneurs and business people, and there's some people that aren't. And one thing I do know, working with you, is you have good business acumen, which means you have the ability to understand profit loss. You were afraid of investing money in the beginning. You want to talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a limiting belief too, not realizing that what you put in, you'll get out, just like your hours you put in, you'll get out as well, right? You see the return, whether it's your time or your money.
Yeah. You do the work, and that starts the chain of events, basically. The dominoes start to fall. So I remember you hiring, how hard it was to peel your wallet open. And when you did, butterflies flew out, by the way.
Yeah. Not moths.
No, they didn't get that far yet. And it was a journey for you to find and commit and hire and take on that wage.
Yep, that's right.
Your business had grown, which was good. And you knew to go to the next level. What was the knowing? What was the aha moment that you realized you needed an assistant?
Scanning documents, still at the office at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
Right? You're the sole body left there. You're doing something that you could certainly pay someone else to do and do at a proper time and have a bit of a life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the biggest thing.
Well, it's kind of crazy because Danielle's pretty proud that you're a hard worker. So when you stay at 11 and you come home and she's like cheering you as you come through the door, you might stay there at 11 for more often. So you realized that you didn't want to do those tasks, but there was other things too, probably, that helped you. What made you take the leap? What do you think the defining moment where you're like, I'm putting the ad in, I'm just doing it?
I mean, I think it's capacity. I did push it to the limits by doing everything myself, and as you know, but not everyone listening does, that I'm a control freak and a perfectionist, right?
Yeah.
We had that newsletter conversation that one time where I wasn't getting them out, then I sent them out on time, and I sent them out with spelling mistakes, and I realized what's better out than perfect, right?
Well, it was better done than perfect.
We coined it, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's right.
right. That's what we said. And I said, just send it out. I almost hit the button on your computer for you.
Well, you almost hired the first assistant for me too, so.
So I saw your potential. And I'm going to say, sitting here with me today, 7 years later, you see what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did I see?
You saw what could be. And I was just looking at the present, but not the future.
So isn't it fair to say that most people look at a future negative outcome, or, right? They're not thinking, that they have that potential in them. And it's crazy that all we did was change a few things. Because I remember that newsletter went out and you came back and you said, you texted me, there's a spelling mistake in my newsletter. And to a guy like me, it's like, it's not my newsletter. So I'm like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. Yeah. But to a guy like you, right? Spelling mistakes, errors, those kinds of things.
Yep.
So you get that newsletter out. That's kind of like phase one of realizing this control thing has control over me. So why don't you talk about, like, when was the first time you really knew you were a control freak?
Oh, I think I've always known it.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't want to admit it to myself, but everything's always has had to be perfect.
And how did that limit you?
Well, it's time consuming, probably the best way to put it when it comes to real estate. I mean, something that actually came up earlier today. I was talking to a colleague and saying that, you know what, you need to hire a designer to do your buyer and listing package. And, another person chimed in and said, yeah, well, it took me about 120 different reviews to get mine done. And I said, well, how much time and hours or days did that take you? Right? I said, you could hire a designer for probably $200 and have that done. Right? So just understanding that your time is better well spent doing actual real estate activities.
Wouldn't you say you learn to value your time?
Absolutely. And that you have to pay the professionals in anything, just like your house.
And you value the professionals?
Absolutely.
So isn't it crazy that a control freak values others' time more than their own? Because as a top producer, your income is large, which is awesome. Therefore, the hourly rate is large. And why wouldn't you pay someone 25 hours or $40 or $50 an hour to design something? So there's this whole place of seeing your value. When you compare to others, like you did when we were there, your value is in a hierarchy of who you hang out with. right?
Well, what is that? You're a combination of the 6 people that you spend the most time around, right?
Yeah.
So, exactly. Right.
Yeah. And, I believe that I have a saying that nobody F's with my 16 hours, right? So I don't allow myself or my brain to go negative in 16 hours. And when it does, which it will do, I switch it right away because I'm aware. How do you deal with your mind, and how do you deal with the tough days where it's like, what am I doing? Deals don't go together. You start going down the shit spiral. Mm-hmm. What do you do when you're in that?
Well, what I used to do was focus too much on that negative energy, and now I take my 5 minutes, let it piss me off, and I throw it away. And I had something do that to me on the way here. I've had a few things go wrong this week, and luckily I'm able to just get past them. I mean, something that also came from your coaching in the past was just understanding that, yes, people go to that negative mindset, so you need to always go to the positive. So I always say you have to wake up every day and assume it's going to be a great day, because if you wake up thinking it's going to be a shitty day, go back to bed.
Yeah. Or kick your butt.
Yeah.
It ain't true. It ain't true. And the funny thing is you said, when I wake up, noticing. First you have to notice, and then you have to shift it, which is actually quite simple because it's always the opposite. If I'm angry, how do I need to be happy? If I'm frustrated, how do I need to be calm? And clients don't hire you to be emotional.
No.
Right? So this ability to control your emotions, like you said, it just happened before you came in here, not impacting this conversation. And so when you're about to walk into someone's house who's paying you a good chunk of money to be a calm, confident force, do you find that that's how you show up in the house?
Absolutely. That's one of the more common comments that I get from clients, was that I was the voice of reason and made them feel at ease in the transaction, which made it simpler for them.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be a young man and be able to do that? Because a lot of your clients are older and they can't.
Yeah, but my clients, vast majority, are older than me.
It's crazy, right? You watch them go into the hijack, and then you walk them out.
And it's an experience thing, I think, too. I mean, yeah, I'm young by age, but I feel like I'm old in the business, right? 32 years old, 12 years selling real estate, hundreds of transactions. And I mean, I've seen, not everything, but, you've seen the thick of things to know what's coming. And of course, you get unusual situations here and there, but you can navigate. Well,
isn't that what they hire you to do? Like a professional knows what's going to go wrong, so they make sure it doesn't.
Yep, exactly.
And that's what you do, right?
Yep.
I actually came up with a great idea for you. I was with a client, and you know that book, What to Expect When Expecting? I don't know if you and Danielle have ordered that yet. But
she probably has it, yeah.
As a realtor, you could do a page in your CMA, What to Expect When Listing, right? Number one, when I tell you they're going to be coming around 6:15, they're coming anywhere between 6:05 to 6:30 because they're on a tour. You got to set the table for these people and let them know. So the expectations, right?
Yeah. No, you nailed it there. Actually, I had a conversation with my assistant this morning about detailing more of the process to clients when they first get onboarded with us. Right. Something that you know all so much about as well is gathering feedback for sellers and how hard it is to get. And a lot of sellers in this market right now want the feedback. Well, we have our protocol, and when we can't get it, we've decided now, instead of just letting them know that we've done our process, that at the end of the process, we're still going to notify them saying we've been through the protocol. We don't have feedback.
Right.
Just something's better than nothing.
Well,
right?
And here's something interesting too, right? The client, right? So they say that, everyone has access to the information. We help them make sense of it. Actually, what we do is they have a broad sense of the information. We provide them with the details that impact their life. Your net interest rates, how this is going to impact you, penalties that you need to pay. Like, you can know what that's like, but to pay a $20,000 penalty, that's what it feels like. So, when I met you at a young age, you were responsible. You were like an old soul.
Always have been.
Right?
Yeah.
Which means there's an ability to take information and knowledge and not jump into being a know-it-all, because you never were a know-it-all. You were a learner. Which was rare for somebody your age. Not that that's not what they do. It's just that there's that know-it-all wall that protects them from looking stupid, and everyone wants to look like they're smart because everyone wants to be appreciated.
Telling versus listening.
Yeah. And when I met you, I saw that was in you, was this place to, and I remember saying, like, we need to keep your buyers and sellers all in one place, Tim. And then you started keeping that book.
Yes.
And you still have it to this day.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I know. That's one of the best things ever to keep you on track.
Right? It's just a book, and you write all your leads down, all in one place, so that you know if you're good for the next 2 months. So anyways, we fire off the newsletter. We get over that
Yep.
So that was the control issue. But then we had to hire an assistant. Remember the fear of training?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not knowing where to start, dumping what you call the I think the unconscious competence.
Yeah.
Right. What you have in your head, but you don't have. Like, there's no book there to give the person.
Yeah.
I just know what I'm doing. I think about it.
How do you transfer that?
Didn't
right?
have a manual at the time.
And I said, we'll solve tomorrow's problems tomorrow. Let's just hire an assistant.
She can make the manual.
Wasn't that what we did with the first one?
Yeah, Michelle.
Michelle.
Michelle made the manual
Michelle
before
was
she
from
left.
Australia, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I loved coaching Anna too.
Yes.
Like, Anna was fun to coach. She was definitely different from Michelle. You know,
Yeah.
all these different
I haven't had
personalities.
the same assistant twice.
What does that say? No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So then we went there. That was, and then you had a third assistant.
Well, I also went through the gap of doing it myself again.
Oh, tell
That was
us
about 8
that.
months. Well, I mean, try not to think about it, to be honest, but went off of, that was after Michelle, and thought I could just do it myself again, and figured, you know what?
How did that year turn out?
So that would have been 2016 or 15. Again, I mean, I always look at the positive, so it must have been great. It might not have been the best for deals, but it was
Right. I
still-
think it's important that people know that when you hired the assistant, right? So when I met you, you came in October, November-ish.
precisely
Yeah.
July 29th.
Sorry, there you go.
Yeah.
Thanks. And you had done 9, 10 transactions the previous year. And I told you that you would be doing 24 in no time. And then basically by Christmas, you're on roll.
Well, that year I finished with 20.
Yeah.
My best year before that was 15.
And then after that, you went to
44.
Yeah, boom. And then some great things happened. You landed a site, you started your brand. You actually, let's talk about this. You have this great guy that you still probably work with
Yep.
that does all your design
I
and
do.
branding. What's
Yep.
his name?
Matt Blair.
Right? And so he was a buddy of yours.
He worked for not the Record, the News Leader newspaper.
Yeah.
He was doing all my back page ads, and I had to chase that guy. I kept saying, will you please do design work for me? Will you please? Will you please? He wouldn't respond to my emails, and one day I get this email, and it was like a gold star come through my inbox. Hey, Tim, I'm thinking about taking on a few clients. Are you still interested in my services? Sign me up.
Yeah.
And he's
And he
done
did a great job.
He's done everything for me since. There's nothing I've touched myself.
Yeah. And anything you want, I want to do a flyer that looks like this. So let's even go to, when is Breast Cancer Month?
Right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Raised
So-
almost $1,500 so far this month.
Right.
So, we're
So your mom passed away with breast cancer. And one of the things you do in Breast Cancer Month, all your ads are pink.
getting there. Yep.
Do your signs go pink too?
No, we had a topper actually. We didn't use it this year though. I did a 10 for Tim it was called, and if you took a photo with it, I would donate $10 to my Run for the Cure.
Brilliant. And then you do the run.
Yep,
And
did the
you
run
raise it.
already. Much better at running now than I have been for the last 7 years.
Cool. So Tim's in here. He's wearing the mask. It's obviously during COVID. Your dad's moved in with you
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops is with us now, and
Yeah.
his dog.
and his dog.
Yeah.
And your car.
Yeah, well, so which one? I had to sell one.
Yeah.
But I have the other one with us. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that like? Kind of reverse role now. Hey, you got your dad living with you, and you like it?
I'm happy that he's with us. It's a learning curve. It's getting used to it. Having just someone else in your space is different, right? You get used to it. You may even get complacent, right? Danielle and I, plus Liam, our cat, that was it. It's like you walk around in your boxers, naked, whatever it might be, no one cares. Now Pops is there, right? Got to think twice about it. And then just getting used to his schedule, and something that I'm big on is routine.
Yeah.
Right? So, I've been up because of the dog at 4:30 a.m. almost every night because she's barking, wants to pee, and it's all good. I'm, sleepwalking down to the back door and letting her out, but it's different, right?
So let's talk about routine, because I know that you're very busy. You do a lot of volume, and you've got a lot of work to do. Even though the assistant's in, you don't drag your butt in at noon. What time do you get to the office?
Well, so my typical day is training 8 to 9, and then the office after that.
Yeah. And then you get to the office, you sit down. What's the first thing you do?
First thing I do is check my emails.
Good.
Yeah, see what's happening, what came in overnight or what came in late at night. Phone still goes on, do not disturb at 10 p.m. So it's always a little bit of overflow you got to catch up on.
Brilliant. Let's talk about how you learned about time management when I challenged you on your CMAs. Remember that?
Yeah, and the latte at the end of the day.
Yeah. So you told me it was going to take you an hour to do your CMA. And I said, give yourself 20 minutes or give yourself a half hour or something like that.
Yep.
And so you went in, locked the door and did it. And you came back and went, it was better than when I had the hour.
Yep. Less distractions. I mean, just as an example for time management, if you're in the middle of something, I do prefer to monotask now, not multitask,
Yep.
right? So if I'm doing something, I'm not picking up my phone call,
Yep.
right? I mean, if, generally it's a realtor calling. They have a question about a listing.
Yep.
They could send a touch base, which is that email communication, right?
Yep.
For everyone that doesn't know. But at the end of the day, if I call them back in 25 minutes, it's probably not going to end the world.
Yep.
And I'd rather just get what I'm doing done.
So a couple things I heard there. One is sequential tasking. You do the task that's most important first, block the time, do it, get it done.
Get the big ones out of the way.
Right. So if anybody is out there saying they're busy, that's my word for wake up because you're not organized. And you can crush many tasks when you're focused, especially if they're in order like that. So I remember that time, and then you were like, and then you came back and said you did 2.5 hour once, and all of a sudden you realized what you could do in that time frame. So how did you practice that or integrate that into how you're working now?
I mean, one of the things I like to do now, I used to be also really good or bad, however you look at it, at over-promising. So every listing appointment, I would tell them they'll have their CMA in 24 hours. And there was a point I could do that until I realized I couldn't do it anymore. So instead I started asking, when do you need this back by? So the ones that are like, well, we're probably selling next spring, get it to me sometime next week, perfect, right? But scheduling it in, because if it's not in there, I find it's really easy in this business to get pulled left, right, and center. And if you don't have that in there, it's easy to forget about it too, right? So
let's talk about the first time you did the life wheel and the work wheel, right? And I know that you love to work hard and you're at the office, but I remember there was a time when you weren't happy because it was impacting your life in a negative way.
that's all I did.
Yeah. I think you were living on First Avenue at the time.
Oh, when I was in Queens Park.
Yeah.
On Second, yeah.
Yeah, Second Avenue. And I remember you kind of beating yourself up for not spending more time with Danielle. So was it the aha moment when Danielle got hit in the head with the baseball and went into a coma and had to have the surgery and was almost dead?
That was a huge perspective on life, yeah.
Yeah. And then you realize that, as you're getting all these learnings, like look at what you've learned on this journey. I'm taking you back in time. Pretty good memory for an old man.
2016.
Not a bad memory for an old man.
No, it's great.
And, well, I'm invested in you. I like you. I
Yeah.
think you're a great guy. I always have. I knew you had what it took. And honestly, as a coach, that's one of the things that people don't understand. But I can see someone, and I know they're going to struggle or not struggle. And I knew you were going to do good. I just didn't know how good. Didn't want you to do better than me, right?
Well, are we talking about on ice or real estate? I just kidding.
No. Everyone's going to think my podcasts are just with hockey players. So Danielle gets injured. She comes back. That's great. She's doing really good too.
Yeah.
I think you're an inspiration to her because I watch her and I watch what she posts, and she finished her education. She's now paralegal. And she's hammering it out there. She's always been great, always doing good work. She's got this affinity for Drake that I don't like, but hey, you put up with it. So.
Yeah, we can't all like the same things.
Okay, so now we've gone through kind of your starting process. We gone through the growth. We went to your marketing because your marketing changed. Then you decided to invest money into your business by your farm. Why don't you talk to the people here or just to me and let me know how you overcame knowing that you were going to have to spend some big dollars.
I mean, one of the things that did change is as my business started growing and I wasn't marketing, I was accumulating more, right? So for me, it was also easier at that point from a mental standpoint to say, well, I can spend some of it now because I don't need this money.
So you're responsible with your money. You saved it. You just didn't run out and buy
material
right?
junk, whatever.
I know that you have got some great things lately, but that's 7 years later with 4 great years under your belt, and yet you had to invest in your business first.
Yeah, I did. And I mean, those are just sort of every once in a while you need to reward yourself and enjoy life too, whether it's a vacation or something else that you enjoy. That was something you also taught me. We can go on that tangent later.
Yeah.
But I mean, to go full circle, I guess it was for me building up that nest egg to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That was something I had to get over. Now I don't fear that, but that's what took me a while to really reinvest in my business. And once I did that, it was setting a plan. So knowing, and I've been told this for years, and you reinstate it, that farms don't turn around overnight. And, neither does any marketing type. And it was sticking to the plan and just continuing with it. So that was part of, having the designer on board. He came up with some great ideas for me too, without me asking for our flyers. And we were just consistently hammering them out. And it did take about 1.5 years, which is what they always say. And it was just ironic. And I remember going into listing appointment and I asked where you got my information from. And she said, I kept your flyer. It was, and I kept getting them. And so I had this one here and I thought I'd bring you in, and I ended up getting hired for the job. And I think this is a great story from a farm side of things. And, I asked her why she chose me, and she said that she felt that everything I said to her was in her best interest, and I was genuine about my position on it. It wasn't about me. And I put her home on the market, in a market that you were not seeing things on fire. We ended up selling in multiples over asking price. Don't remember if I had subjects or not, because that was probably about 2015 or so now, so probably did. But anyhow, that's turned into somewhere near 5 deals since, which was through her family and referrals. And
Right, and here's the thing, right? If all we do is measure instantaneous results, I send out a flyer, I got nothing. We have to let go of something, right? You have to be all in the process. You can't be half in, and you can't be all out, obviously. So you do the flyers, and you probably haven't turned a blind eye since. Did you stop during COVID?
No.
Yeah.
I've just changed the way of doing things. I'm also sending more direct mail now, so not just
I received
postcards.
a piece, and I can give you a critique on that.
You
if
did,
like.
because that's right. You were in the hood.
I opened it up.
Yep. It got to you.
No picture of Tim. No warmth.
No.
No
Did it have my
warmth.
card in it?
No.
Oh, it should have.
No, it was a typewritten letter.
Not hand signed.
And I opened it. I liked your logo, but no warmth. No warmth,
All right.
Timmy.
All right.
And I'll tell you something else, Tim. As an ex-owner of 3 franchises, and if my ex-realtors are listening, and a realtor of 24 years, I have had 4 sales in my neighborhood happen, and I don't know the sale price, and it's driving me nuts. No mailers, no just sold, no door knocking, no flyers. Nobody's got me on any.
You
kind
must
of
have changed
program.
your email. You don't remember this, or maybe you don't. I should say. We executive in. You were speaking there one morning when you were still an owner, and you complained about it. And I put you on an auto notification while I was sitting there. So,
well, I'm not getting them anymore, so maybe I changed my email. I might have changed. It might have been info at kcornies.com. Let's talk about vacations. What was the learning or aha moment that you had around that, and how did that impact you, and how have you integrated that into your life?
Yeah, planning them, right? And I was told that for a long time too, committing to it and just knowing you're going away. Because again, in this business, you can get so tied up in it. It's always the one day, and that can be one day I'm going to start a farm, one day I'm going to go away, one day I'm going to hire an assistant, one day never comes.
Right.
So it was just, making it happen. And actually it was a combination of you and Danielle. Danielle said, I want to go away. So we're going. And I think we went 3 weeks later. We booked a trip to Cabo. We met some amazing friends. And to be honest, I sold one of them a house 2 weeks ago in North Van. And I've done a number of deals out of the group of people we've met there. And pretty much every vacation that we've been on, we've met awesome people. And if that turns into business, even better. But that's not what it's about. It's just really having that experience.
Right. So what I remember was you were always like, so going to do it one day. And I was talking to you about leading your life, not managing your life. And so I made you put it in your schedule, and then you booked it and went. And ever since then, you've always put it in your schedule.
Well, and even Incomeep was another place
That's
where
right.
you basically sent me there. You said, you said you want to go away. You like wine. Your wife likes sun. You're going here. We booked it. We went away, and we go on that same trip every year now.
Yeah. And what's great is having that tradition with your wife, right? Because when you have kids, it's not going to be so easy, and it's not going to be the same. I always like to say that the partnership, the marriage, is the heartbeat of the family. And if the heart stops beating, the family stops, right? So when you have kids, you want to make sure that you continue on with date nights and you continue on with that stuff. So that's the vacations in a nutshell. You went to Italy.
Yeah, we were in Italy and Greece last year, late June into early July. It was our honeymoon. Yeah, 17 days without my work phone and just a carry-on luggage. It was fun.
Yeah, and then when you got back, what did you learn about going away?
Well, the biggest thing that I took away from that was actually stepping away from the business. really didn't look at anything. I mean, I did take 2 phone calls because there were a couple fires, but I mean, I took them walking up a set of stairs. Where were we? This was in Sorrento. I remember the one. A deal was going sideways, and we had just finished dinner on the beach, eating fresh caught fish and drinking wine. So whatever, a 10, 15-minute phone call. We walked back to the hotel, no big deal. And then it was just back to enjoying ourselves.
Yeah, and it's good to have somebody who's with you that's not going to, as long as you don't take advantage of that, but somebody who supports you in that as well.
I asked if I could take the call because I said, I don't really care if the deal collapses. We're on our honeymoon. It is what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now we fast forward. Now you've had some really good consistency, and you are one of the young leaders for Remax for Western Canada. So how did that come about?
Well, let's see. So they sent out an email. It kind of piqued my interest. I thought, well, it'd be nice to be involved in a certain capacity to help Remax grow and help their agents and kind of relate it to hockey in a way. Growing up playing hockey in the U.S., we didn't have the best coaches. It was a smaller association, and that's one of the reasons why I coached for 7 years was to give back, right? I was the coach I wish that I had when I was growing up. So kind of thinking in that sort of mindset, if I can help the younger agents have, what I didn't have in my first handful of years, I'd love to be able to do that. And anyways, got selected as one of their ambassadors. I believe there's 11 of us. We had a Zoom conference call this morning. That was where I was talking about the listing and buyer packages, actually. And we had our first and only in-person was in Banff last fall. This year we were supposed to be in Quebec City for last week, actually. Obviously canceled because of COVID. But no, it's been a good experience and just really helping them figure out what they need to provide their younger agents, right? So what do I want, and getting a chance to express that opinion. And then also just the collaboration. We've got a Facebook group where you can bounce ideas off of one another. If you're looking for even a referral partner or anything of that sort, it's just an open group in that way.
Brilliant. So networking with hockey as well, because they do that with Remax, networking with the young leaders group. I know that you also have a mastermind group.
Yeah, still have my hockey mastermind.
Right, the guys.
Yeah,
so
the Remax hockey.
So that's a group of guys that meet and play a tournament around the
first week of February every year. Probably not this coming year. But every year prior.
Exactly. So that's great networking. Sphere of influence, friends and family. You work that. You do newsletters. You do that kind of stuff. You stay in contact with them.
Newsletter still goes out 12 times a year, once a month, right? First week of every month. And I actually just tracked because I know you love numbers. So far this year, I'm at 92% is either repeat referral or sphere business.
Yeah. And how much new business are you getting? Like people just randomly calling off your marketing or farm?
As far as closed deals?
Yeah.
Not a lot this year, actually. Yeah.
So it's interesting because that's an aspect of business people don't look at. So other ways to create that business. But anyways, when you got a strong business, you got a strong business. So the next thing I want to chat with you about is, what did we talk about here? Yeah. So you said, so this is interesting. So there was a young guy that came from Layton.
Yep.
He was from the high school program. Or
no, I coached him.
Oh, you coached
hockey.
him. Yeah. And then he wanted to get into real estate.
Yeah, he wanted to get into real estate. Chatted with him a year or two before he even took the course to kind of just give him the Coles notes, right? I mean, anyone that ever asks, what's it like to be a realtor? I'm happy to shed the good, bad, and ugly, right? Yeah. Because it's just the reality, right? Stuff that I unfortunately didn't know, right? I just hopped in with 2 feet and started running. But
so you took him on as a mentor.
Yep. So I started mentoring him in end of November of last year.
And then that worked out really good. And you're still now you're just trying to negotiate or figure out how that's going to look in the future.
Yeah. Basically right now, any new leads that come my way, I'm just spinning directly off to him. So I'm cultivating my current clients and making sure that I can do what they need, and I feel like I'm at a pretty high capacity. So there's the new business we were just talking about. Yeah, well, and that's
right. So there it is, right? So you did generate some leads. He probably is a little hungrier for the B and C leads.
Well, that's why I asked her. From the close side, it's low, but it's still coming in. It's just managing it differently.
Any entrepreneur in any business should become a mentor, because then you can hear your own wisdom.
It also reminds you of things. There's times where I'm like, I got to get back doing that.
Yeah, right? It works, right? I should do that. So, which brings me to this. So you went and you didn't like the coaches you had. So you went back and coached kids because you wanted to be the coach that you didn't have. So what kind of things did you do as a coach that you thought were effective?
So when I was coaching hockey, the difference was it was dads coaching that didn't play, right? So I had the experience. I had just come out of playing junior hockey. I knew the current game, right? That was another thing because, by the time I have kids, we'll see how far I've been out of junior hockey, and it's going to be a different hockey game then. We've seen the way it's excelled, right? And it's a faster game now. And so I was just able to bring more of the current type of hockey back to
And so was it just all tactical, or was there any kind of emotional aspect to it as well that you didn't like that you do differently?
No, another thing was I just feel like the age groups that I was coaching, and even when I was younger, so let's just say 8 to 15 or so, you could relate and you'd look up more to someone that was in their 20s. It was a different perspective than dad, right? So I felt like that just, I don't know, we'll call it like the cool vibe, right? When you'd have the younger coach and,
Cole was really lucky because when Cole's in the room right now doing sound and video, but he's really lucky because I was his coach. So it was perfect, right, Cole? Quit nodding. Okay. So keep going. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah. It was just giving back in a different way. And I felt like I would have listened better, right?
Don't you think that your farm, that your work in the community is strengthened by the breast cancer awareness? It's strengthened by coaching because a lot of those parents saw you. I think the more involved you are in the community, and even if you take a look at one of the top producers, Dave Valley, right?
Yep.
And
That's what I was thinking of when you were saying that.
Yeah, and he's so in the community. He's in the high school. I think that's the most important thing because if you genuinely give back, you show a core value that people all have but don't do because they can't be bothered with the time, right? So, what do you think? So, what do you think are the keys to the growth of your business and how it stays so stable?
So in order to scale, it was really systems. So systems which turned into time blocking. So things that but I'll touch on. Every Tuesday is my follow-up day, right? Monday is like my prep day. So what happened over the weekend? How many people do we have through the open houses? How many showings did we have last week? What's the feedback? So on and so forth. And really looking at it and just analyzing it, right? So having that information gives me some time to process it. And then every Tuesday between 10 a.m. and noon is when all my listing leads will hear from me and all my buyer leads will hear from me, right? So keeping myself accountable in that way, it's in my schedule, it's there every week, it's on repeat, just like your coaching was with me every Friday, right? And just, religiously acting on it, right? Knowing that it has to be done. And that goes when we didn't get too deep into routine, but that's why, alarm goes off at the same time every day. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter if it's Monday or Sunday.
So, one of the biggest problems, especially with COVID, because basically we're at like 7 months right now and it's going to go on longer. A computer will go to a certain point and a surge protector will shut her down. Humans don't have that. So they check out. They start drinking, they start doing drugs, alcohol, gaming, sex, whatever. It doesn't matter. They find an addiction that releases them from this place. What are you doing to stay positive in this time?
So for me, at the very beginning of COVID, I think it was dark for everyone. One of the things I did there, which I was recently reflecting on, is I let my voice do the talking. So I was more just putting out, it was forget real estate. It was, this is what I think we need to do as a community to be better, right? This is how we're going to get through it. Now we know it is a longer term thing, like you said. So you have to look past it. How do you navigate through it and still help people, right? And so after that, we'll call it the first 2-3 weeks of darkness, I just realized I got to get back to pounding the pavement in the sense that I have people relying on me, right? I sold your home end of February. You have to move out end of April. I can't just abandon you, right? And to me, I don't know how to define that core value, but that's just what's in me, right? I've always put my clients. It's a good way. And, actually, a word we came up with at R4 was devotion, and it's still in most of my notes because that is certainly a core value. And that's just, I'll put my clients
being of service.
Yeah, they're on my shoulders, right? Yeah. If something bad happens to them or a deal collapses or they miss the offer, whatever it is, I feel the pain with them, but I'm also there to help coach them through that. Right?
What you said a couple things here that I'll kind of bring full circle. So we go to devotion, right? You talked about you're only comparing to yourself. One of the mechanisms that we have in our brain is what I call comparisonitis. Everything's in a hierarchy of order of importance. And so when I buy this pen, I only pay $1.99. If I paid $500, it better be the best pen in the world. And so we're afraid that in a hierarchy, and when we're running from the wild animals, I don't need to be faster than the wild animal. I just need to be faster than you. So I better compare to Tim. Is Tim in good shape or bad shape? So that comparisonitis. So in real estate, when you consider yourself a realtor or a salesperson, you always compare to other realtors and other salespersons. And there's always going to be somebody bigger and better, which automatically puts you lower on the hierarchy, which automatically triggers this insecurity and low self-esteem. So your body language, your tempo, the language, all your social cues change. People don't understand that. Here's the thing that I'm hearing when talking to you is when you only compare to yourself, you're not less than, you just want to be better. Now here's even better. It's the magic pill. It's this devotion thing that you're talking about. If you look at the facts of the world through the lens of devotion, it creates a thought of how can I make an impact, which is a positive thought, which creates a positive feeling, which creates a positive story about yourself. And now you're saying, I'm a good person and I'm doing this. And then when you execute the actions, you have a great state of mind, you have a future positive outlook, and your attitude's awesome. Therefore, you execute the action with better social cues than others, more confidence, shoulders back, head high, good eye contact, not looking away, good tone of voice, great listening skills, and then you get the results. So you're sitting here as a top producer, and I think the people have heard it many times in here. It's about what I do for the people. It's how I help them. I'm devoted. I'm of service. And if anybody's struggling out there, it's because they don't have a connection with that, because they think they're a salesperson. So they're going out and they're taking courses or hiring coaches to be trained how to sell, which is great because that's a skill set you need. And the truth is, buy my stuff because the psychology of sales is way more important than canned language. But anyways, so what I'm hearing is your ability to see things through the vision of someone who's devoted, of service and caring, who, is giving back to the community, like Dave Valley, top producer, same thing. And, the number one thing about all top producers is the top 1% is they're all likable. And then you have this going for yourself. How do you think you got that vision? Was it dad? Was it mom? Was it a coach? Was it just naturally in you? Was it an old soul? Like, how did you, because you also said the word responsibility, where, a lot of people are struggling because they don't have that sense of responsibility. So how did you get that? How do you think you got that?
Well, I got to say my parents certainly were givers, right? So this is, we'll see how this goes over. But I was talking to a client last week about it and just how their family and how she was raised, and you couldn't walk through her family's door without having something to eat or something to drink. Same thing in my house. And my mom was coined as the candy lady. So everyone at TD Bank knew that she had Jolly Ranchers in her pocket, right? And she would always leave them with you. And if you said you didn't want them, she'd still leave them on the teller desk. And so I think just seeing that and understanding and also believing in karma, right? I truly believe that you do get what you give. And if you do enough good, good will come to you. So, for that reason, that's why I'm happy to give back to the right things, to the things that I believe in as well. The Hayek football team, I give back to them because I played there. I saw the program. I talked to Farhan. I consider him a friend of mine. We were just joking over the weekend that he wishes I played there longer because I was too stubborn. I said, I'm playing hockey. I'm a hockey player. He goes, well, I've seen you run track. You can come be a running back. No, I don't want to play football. It was a great experience, right? New West Salmon Bellies also played there, saw what that was about. New West Minor Hockey, played there until I went on to junior hockey. Give back to that. Breast cancer, my mom passed away from it, give back to it. Like, they're all things that I've had an experience with, good or bad.
And you also contribute to the Children's Miracle Network.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about what I just heard there, which is tenacity, right? So you're like me on the ice. You're a hard worker.
Hack a little bit,
Score
a few goals.
Grind a little bit, right? So the thing about tenacity is when it's aligned with purpose, like being of service. And what was the word you used? Sorry, that you heard you learned it in R4.
Oh, devotion.
Devotion. Okay, so tenacity aligned with devotion equals resilience. You'll get around any obstacle, not a problem. Tenacity aligned with fear is stubborn. And you just said, Farhan and I were talking, and I was stubborn, right? So, you didn't want to play football because you probably thought, I'm not going to be very good at it, or I don't want to do it, I don't know it. There was some sense of fear maybe.
Well, and I think, I like to be very good at everything I do.
Yeah.
Right. So if I was playing, I expected to start. So I better be good enough to be the starting running
So
back.
why would I join football when I'm already good at hockey? Right. And yet you join real estate at 20. I guess you expected you would just be good at that too. Right. I think that's common well, I know it's common for a lot of people to want to be able to just do it. Cole plays guitar. He plays by ear. I'll never forget when we were at a music lesson and Chris was there. Chris Schultz, great guy. Takes a village to raise a family, and he was a good man in ours. And I said, how do you know he plays by ear? He goes, look, his music's upside down. So he was playing by ear.
That's awesome.
Yet when he picks up instruments, he wants to be good right away too. And yet he has the ability to put the work in because there's a passion there. So, that tenacity aligned with a purpose or a core value of service, let's say, you'll be resilient at everything. So just remember, when you're stubborn with the wife, if you're not connecting, you're protecting. All right.
Yeah, there's no point in having a shell.
No.
Right.
And it's just like, if there's no conversation, then if it's an argument, don't get involved. Just have the conversation. There's no point that has to be jammed down someone's throat far enough. And in business, in sales, sitting in someone's living room at 10 o'clock at night, I think you've learned some pretty darn good skills on how to be instead of how not to be. Do you have any kind of recollection of story of how not to be at the table at 10 o'clock at night?
I mean, one of the big things too is advising, right? So not telling people what to do. You can tell them what you think they should do, but at the end of the day, they need to make the best choice for themselves, right? Whether that's buying that home or not buying it, or signing the offer to sell their home or not signing it. They have to feel good about what they're doing, right? And, I look at another two things that I think are big in my business, and it's customer service and communication, right? I'm going to communicate with you so you know everything that's going on, and I'm going to make sure that you have a great experience. I've always looked at sales in the sense, if I'm on the other side of the table, how do I want to be treated? I don't like to be sold to. If you try to sell to me, I run away.
So from 19 till now, what do you think was an aha moment or a mistake that you made that you never made again, that you knew, I can't do that, I have to do something different? Did you have any of those experiences?
Well, one of the biggest things which goes to the communication side is, even if you have nothing to tell your client, tell them that you know nothing.
Yeah.
So if no one called about their listing over the last week when we were in tough markets, 2013, 2014, part of 2015, homes were taking, I don't know what the benchmark numbers were, but I know that it was taking up to 6 months to sell homes of listings that I had. Well, that's a 6-month relationship.
Which is actually really good, because you can develop the relationship if you're honest and not insecure, right? Because calm confidence, the opposite of calm confidence is agitated insecurity, right? And when you're on the golf course and the phone rings and you're like, oh no, you're like, hi, I was just about to call you, right? You want to get ahead of these things.
Absolutely.
So what we're talking about is having the crucial conversations, right? Is not being afraid. Any conversation that you're afraid of having is the one you need to have.
You have to deliver bad news as well as you deliver good news.
Yeah. As well as, not as well, as well as. That means you have to be as good as delivering bad news as you are as delivering good news.
Yep.
So what do you think is a skill that you have that allows you to deliver bad news well?
Well, I'm not scared of it. There was a point that I was. I like getting anything that's negative out of the way, right? So I had to send a couple emails that were not great today. I wanted to get them out of the way as humanly fast, or as fast as I could.
Yeah.
Right. Get them off my plate, because then that negative energy was gone.
Right.
Right. Now I can work on the good things. The people that want my help, and the deal's going the right direction, not the other direction.
Well, that's called delaying gratification. You wake up, you go to work Monday, and you know you need to call these people, but you put it off.
It ruins your day, though. That's all you think about.
Until Thursday.
Right?
And then when you finally do it, you feel good.
Yeah.
So that's, I have one client, he calls it Shit Monday. He gets into the office and he has 2 phone calls he has to make to, directors of the company to report what's going on, and they're not the nicest people to talk to. But he gets on the phone, he gets it over with. He used to make the calls Fridays afternoons till we were coaching one day, and I'm like, why don't you do that Monday morning? He goes, you know what? So he started to do it Monday mornings, and his weeks have been so much better because of what we're talking about.
Well, the dark cloud's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
And really, at the end of the day, Tim, they're just thoughts.
Yeah.
There's really nothing that bad. Everything's okay. If the client lets you go, you'll find another client.
But it's also generally information that I can't control.
Yeah.
Someone decided that, they didn't like the strata documents that they
Hang on a
read.
sec. What did you say? I can't control?
Yeah, I can't control.
What do you mean? I thought you were a control freak.
You learn as you age, I suppose. But it really, I mean, the reality is when I'm delivering bad news to a client, it's not being inflicted because of something I did. If someone says their home is too small, that's negative to them, right? But it wasn't the right fit for that buyer. Maybe they didn't like the outlook of it, or who knows, it can be various reasons. Like, I find feedback, which is so subjective, is typically the negative news I've got to deliver on a regular basis. Doesn't matter if we show your house 10 times and it sells to one buyer or 100 times. It just means there's going to be 9 or 99 negative comments. Yeah.
And you know what? When you're asking for feedback, if the people tell you it's great but don't write an offer, I don't want them, right? I always just tell my clients, it's don't be mad at the people that just wrote this low offer. Be mad at the ones that didn't write the offers. It's all perspective, right? And framing perspective. Yes. And it sounds to me like you've gained a skill set of how you can frame your feedbacks and how you can frame your communications in a way that is delivered, but it's not delivered in such a way that's negative because you don't like negative energy. And you clean it up right away, right? You get it done, you move on with it, which makes you clear because now you're not defocused by negative emotions. You can be focused. The practical stuff gets done better when you're focused. So what's next? What's next, buddy? Like, let's just imagine as if COVID goes away in the next year and you got this strong business. You've got an assistant working with you now that's working good. You've got this young lad kind of working with you. I kind of see that turning into, maybe him being a representative of your brand.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's some opportunity there.
Yeah, and for people out there that are listening and building teams, what you want to do is you want to give them your core values and you want to give them your purpose so they can advocate for your core values and purpose, and they will get pride through you that stops them from being salespeople comparing to others. And they'll think what we have is special and that's important, and then they'll just want to be better for themselves. So 2022, 2023, you're moving into the house when? When are you moving into the house?
Yeah, the keys December 2nd. We move on December 3rd. Danielle's got everything planned down to the hour.
Wow. So Christmas in the new home.
Yeah, Christmas in the new home. I mean, Christmas lights getting put up outside, hired out, right? I'm not getting up on the ladder. It's all already done.
So why don't I just end with a little highlight? We were in Vegas. We went to the convention, R4, and you took me for dinner. We went to the steakhouse. You got my favorite wine, cake bread.
Yes, which I texted you a couple weeks ago.
Right. And it's like, it was such a nice surprise. You bought me dinner, which was great. And now here you are. So what's next? Is it like, do you see yourself just strengthening your business and setting up camp around this level, or do you see yourself wanting to grow and maybe build a team? Yeah, no, definitely scale, right? And just putting in even better systems. So that's something that, is reminding me of sitting next to you again today, is that even better if. So how do you make things better? That's how, we're making our general systems better. And how can I serve my clients better as well? Right. So that's the feedback frame of WWW, what worked well, and EBI, even better if. And the reason we do that is it keeps the people in reward. So what worked well was you were at the house and you let the people in. That was great. It would have been even better if you'd have picked up the dog bombs in the backyard. And I just want to
got the lights on before they arrived, because we've been on both sides of that, right?
And then we go into business with your assistant. Wow, what works well is you came here today. It'd be even better if you weren't watching videos. What worked well, even better if. It's a great feedback frame, and it's a great way for life. And then that brings us to plus oneing, which is even better if. It's just like, okay, so we're here. I want to scale. How can I do the smallest next step to scale to get to the next level? So it's been great going back in time with you.
I know. It's been
We haven't seen each other forever. So what I want to say to you is I still think you have more potential. And I hope that fires you up. And I hope that, maybe we'll get together in the next little while for some beers. But thanks for being here.
No, absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm honored that you asked me to be on here. And I mean, you can kind of look at it this way too, on the giving back side of things. You've done so much for me that as soon as you text me, it wasn't a, can I do it? It's, I'll be there.
Brilliant. Love that. All right. Well, thank you, Tim. And here's to a great 2022, 2023, and vacations with your lovely wife coming forward. I'll give her a quick shout out. I love Danielle. So, hey, Danielle, take care of this man and make sure he takes care of you. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching this episode of Master Your Genius. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. See you next time.